So here's the thing. I never thought I'd be writing something like this, but I need to get it off my chest. My name's Jake, and for the past few years I thought I had the perfect wife, Rachel. She's gorgeous, smart, and she always knew how to make me feel like I was the luckiest guy alive. We were married for 5 years, and honestly, I never suspected a thing. I mean, sure, she's had her moments of bitchiness. She can be pretty toxic sometimes, but I always thought it was just her personality. She's fiery, a little bitchy, but kind, or so I thought. Things started feeling off about 2 months ago. She's been more distant, secretive, and she started coming home late more often. I didn't think too much of it at first. Work, maybe. Or she was out with her friends. But then I noticed her phone glued to her hand, and she'd quickly hide it whenever I looked over. Small stuff, yeah, but enough to make my gut tighten a little. Still, I didn't want to jump to conclusions. I figured maybe I was just overthinking it. I also caught her in little lies. She'd say she was going to the gym, but I found her car parked outside some guy's house one night. I saw her on social media, smiling with some guy I didn't recognize, and I just brushed it off because I didn't want to believe she was cheating. I told myself maybe she was just being friendly, that I was paranoid. Then came the day everything unraveled. It was the worst day of my life. The day I found out the truth. It started with a weird feeling, like a knot forming in my stomach. I was at work when I got a message from my sister. She said she saw Rachel's car parked outside some hotel downtown. That alone didn't mean much. I figured maybe they were just meeting someone for lunch or something innocent. But then she sent me a photo. It was Rachel in a hotel room with some guy. My heart dropped. I stared at that picture for what felt like forever. I couldn't believe it. My wife in a hotel room, who is not my husband, lying next to some guy, smiling like it was the best night of her life. I couldn't even process it at first. My stomach turned cold and hot. At the same time, I wanted to scream, to call her, to yell at her, but I didn't. Instead, I just sat there staring at the photo, feeling like everything I thought was real was a lie. I knew I had to see for myself. I called her, and her phone rang a couple of times before she picked up. Her voice was that typical snarky, bitchy tone she always used, like I was bothering her. I asked her where she was, and she lied effortlessly, saying she was at her sister's house. Typical, right? She always had some excuse, some bullshit story to cover her tracks. I decided to go home early that day, knowing full well what I'd find. When I walked in, everything looked normal, her purse, her coat on the couch. But the smell of perfume in the air was different, more perfume than usual. I looked around, trying to find any clues. Then I saw her phone on the counter, face down. I grabbed it and looked through her messages. That's when I saw it, the texts, the photos, the whole damn thing. Rachel and some guy named Chad talking about meeting up, about their secret night, about how she was finally getting what she needed. I saw the way she was describing it, like she was happy, proud, even like I wasn't even there. It was like a punch to the gut. I felt rage, heartbreak, confusion all at once. I didn't know what to feel first, so I just stood there, trembling. My mind raced with every possible explanation. Was it just sex? Was it love? Was she trying to replace me? I didn't even cry. I was too stunned, too angry. I knew I needed to confront her, but I also knew that the worst was coming. This wasn't some fling. This was a betrayal that tore my world apart. I never thought my wife, the woman I trusted with everything, would do something so sickening while my own mother was dying. But she did. She cheated on me during my mother's funeral with my best friend, no less. That's when I realized I'd lost not just my wife, but everything I believed in. I didn't sleep that night. Honestly, I don't remember much of what I did, except that I kept staring at the ceiling, replaying everything in my head. Every moment I thought. I knew her, every memory we shared, gone in an instant. I kept asking myself how someone I loved could be capable of something so cold, so cruel. During my mother's funeral, no less. I mean, what kind of person does that? After a while, I couldn't take it anymore. I knew I had to confront her, but I also knew I couldn't just do it anyway. I had to be smart about this. I didn't want her to spiral or lie her way out of it, so I planned my approach carefully. The next morning, I waited until she was in the shower, then I took her phone and started digging deeper. I went through every message, every photo, every app, anything I could find that might give me more proof. I found more than I bargained for. There were texts from the day of my mom's funeral, just hours before she was buried, where she was talking about meeting up with Chad again, saying she needed to feel alive. I couldn't believe it. She was already cheating on me while I was mourning the loss of someone who meant everything to me. The betrayal was so much worse than I initially thought. When she got out of the shower, I confronted her. I told her I knew everything. Her face instantly twisted into this bitchy smirk, like she was proud of herself, like she thought she was clever. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, "Oh, Jake, you're overreacting. Calm down, it's just sex. It doesn't mean anything. You're making a big deal out of nothing." She lied so easily, like she was used to getting away with it, but I wasn't buying it. I told her I saw the photos, the texts, everything. I wasn't just some fool who could be lied to anymore. Her reaction. She rolled her eyes, scoffed, and then tried to turn it around on me. She said I was paranoid, that I didn't trust her, that I was just jealous because I wasn't satisfying her anymore. She called me insecure and said I was overreacting because I was too caught up in my own grief. I could tell she was trying to gaslight me, make me doubt what I saw with my own eyes. But I knew the truth, and I knew I couldn't stay with someone like her. Not after what she did. I felt the rage boiling inside me. How could she do this? How could she betray me, betray my family, betray everything we built, all while I was losing my mother? It was like she couldn't care less about anyone but herself. I saw the bitchy sneer on her face, the way she refused to even try to deny it, and that's when I knew I had to get out. I told her I wanted a divorce. She laughed, that condescending laugh she always threw at me when she thought she was winning. I left the house that morning feeling hollow, like I'd lost a part of myself. The worst part was knowing she didn't care. She was just fine, smiling and lying her way out of it. And Chad. I found his number in her phone, too. The guy's an idiot, honestly. I saw their plans to meet again, their flirtation, their sick little game. I couldn't believe I'd been blind. I'd spent years thinking I had the perfect wife, and it turns out she was just a thief, a liar, and a cheat. Right then, I knew I'd never look at her the same way again. I didn't even want to try. All I felt was the cold, brutal truth that my life was crumbling and I was standing there helpless. After I told her I wanted a divorce, she didn't even seem surprised. Like she knew all along she was going to get away with it. She just looked at me with that bitchy smirk and said, "Fine, whatever. You'll see, Jake. You're overreacting. I'll be out of your hair soon enough." That was the moment I realized how little she cared about me, about us, or even the fact that she was lying to my face all these years. Her attitude, so dismissive, made me want to throw something at her. But I held back because I knew no matter what I had to keep my cool for now. I spent the next few days in a fog. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her in that hotel, laughing with Chad, acting like she was the queen of the world. My mind kept circling back to everything I thought I knew about her, how she was so bitchy, so quick to lie, so manipulative. That bitchy her was always there, but I never thought it would be directed at me like that. I was so blindsided I couldn't believe I missed all the signs. After all, I was the one who tried to give her the benefit of the doubt. I blamed myself for not noticing sooner. I started reaching out to some of my friends, trying to get advice, but honestly, I was too embarrassed to tell anyone the real story. I felt betrayed not just by her, but by myself for being so stupid. My trust was shattered. I started questioning everything, my judgment, my ability to see what was right in front of me. How did I not see that she was capable of doing something so cruel? How did she manage to hide it for so long? The worst part was the feeling that I wasn't just hurt, I was disgusted disgusted that the woman I loved could do this during a time I was supposed to be mourning my mother. Her words kept echoing in my head. "It's just sex," she said. "It doesn't mean anything." Yeah, right, that's what she kept telling herself. I knew better. I saw the way she looked at Chad in those texts, like she was chasing some high, some rush of excitement she couldn't get from me anymore. It wasn't just sex, it was her betrayal of everything we had. And she lied about it so convincingly, so effortlessly, that I almost started to question whether I was just being paranoid. But I had proof. I had the photos, the messages, proof that she was screwing around behind my back during the most painful time of my life. So I made a decision. I wasn't going to just roll over and accept her bullshit excuses. I needed to do something about it. I started gathering everything, screenshots, saved messages, her hotel receipts. I wasn't planning to just walk away quietly. I wanted her to see that I knew the truth, that there was no way she could deny it anymore. I also reached out to Chad just to hear his side. He was cocky, arrogant even, like he thought he was some kind of player. I kept my cool, but I made it clear I wasn't stupid. I told him I knew what was going on, and if he didn't want things to get ugly, he'd better stay away from her. Meanwhile, Rachel kept trying to spin her lies, acting like I was crazy, like I was the one who was overreacting. She pushed back hard, calling me paranoid and insecure. "You don't trust me," she sneered. "You're just jealous because I'm finally getting some sex. Maybe you should get your act together instead of accusing me of everything." That's when I saw her true colors, the bitchy, manipulative side that I'd always ignored. I realized she'd been doing this for a long time, hiding her true nature behind that fake, bitchy mask. Looking back now, I see how all of this was building up, her attitude, her lies, her dismissiveness. I was just too blind to see it. But once I did, I knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay. I was hurt, angry, and sickened by her betrayal. Still, I was also relieved in a way because I finally saw her for what she really was, a liar and a cheat who didn't give a damn about me or my feelings. It was a hard pill to swallow, but I knew I had to face it if I wanted to move on. The days that followed were chaos. I couldn't focus at work. My mind kept flashing back to that damn hotel room, her face, Chad's cocky grin. I felt numb but also furious. The betrayal cut so deep, it was like a wound that didn't want to heal. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs, how I could have been so blind to her bitchy, manipulative nature. She always had a way of twisting everything around, making me doubt myself, and I hate to admit it, but I almost fell for her lies. That bitchy smirk, her sneering attitude, she thought she was smarter than me, that she could get away with anything. One night after a long day of pretending I was okay, I finally decided I had enough. I was done playing her game. I knew I had to confront her face to face. I wanted to see her reaction, to hear her lie to my face. I told her I was coming over that evening and she tried to play it cool, acting like she was surprised, pretending she hadn't been expecting me. But I could see right through her. She was shitting herself inside, trying to put on her usual bitchy act to save face. When I arrived at her place, she greeted me with that same sarcastic tone, like she was in control. I didn't waste any time. I pulled out my phone, showed her the screenshots, her messages to Chad, her hotel receipts, everything. Her face twisted into this nasty, bitchy expression. "Oh, come on, Jake," she said, rolling her eyes. "You're overreacting, it's just sex. It doesn't mean anything, you're being crazy." She kept lying, kept trying to spin her bullshit, but I wasn't buying it anymore. I told her I'd had enough, that I knew she was a liar, a cheat, a manipulator, and I was done with her. Her reaction: she sneered at me, got defensive, and then started throwing accusations. She called me insecure, said I was jealous, that I was just angry because I lost my mother. I could feel my blood boiling. I said, "You don't get to call me insecure when you're out screwing some guy behind my back during my mother's funeral. That's some next-level bitchy shit right there." Her face went pale for a second, then she snapped back with that bitchy attitude, saying I was overreacting, that I was just trying to control her, that I was jealous and paranoid. I realized something then: this wasn't just about her cheating. It was about her complete lack of respect, her total disregard for everything we had. I saw her for what she was, a manipulative, selfish bitch who thought she was smarter than everyone else. The more she lied, the more I saw her true colors. I knew I couldn't stay with her, not after this. I told her I was leaving, that I wanted a divorce, and that I was done being played. She tried to yell at me, blame me, gaslight me again, but I just walked out. I was done with her bullshit. That night I sat alone, replaying the whole thing in my head. The betrayal, the lies, the way she looked at me like I was stupid for trusting her. I felt a mixture of relief and heartbreak. Relief because I finally saw her for what she really was. Heartbreak because I'd lost the woman I loved, or thought I loved. I kept thinking about her bitchy attitude, how she always acted like she was better than everyone else, like she deserved whatever she wanted. That attitude, that manipulative, lying, bitchy side, it all came crashing down on me. I knew then I'd never trust her again, and honestly, I didn't want to. I just wanted to move on, even if it hurt like hell. In the days that followed, I felt like I was walking around in a fog. My friends and family kept telling me I was better off without her, but that didn't make the pain any easier. I kept seeing her bitchy smirk whenever she tried to deny everything, and I was sick to my stomach thinking about how she lied, how she cheated, how she used that manipulative attitude to get away with it all. That woman was a master at hiding her true nature, but I saw it now. Every bitchy comment, every sneer, every time she dismissed my feelings, it all added up. I stayed away from her, blocked her number, and refused to let her manipulate me anymore. I knew I had to focus on myself, but honestly, it was almost impossible not to think about her. I kept replaying her words, her lies, that last look she gave me, the way she looked at me. Like I was nothing, like she was entitled to do whatever she wanted. Honestly, I felt so betrayed, I started questioning everything about myself. Was I a bad husband? Was I incapable of satisfying her? Or was she just a selfish, manipulative bitch who thought she could get away with anything? The answer was obvious, but it still hurt to accept that my wife, the woman I loved, had been lying to me all along. One thing I'll say, her attitude during all this was classic. When I confronted her, she threw every excuse she could think of, trying to turn the tables on me. "You're insecure," she said. "You don't trust me." Like it was my fault she was a cheating, lying bitch. She kept calling me paranoid, like I was making a big deal out of nothing. But I knew better now. I saw her for what she really was, a bitchy, manipulative woman who thought she was above everything. That attitude, that condescending sneer, that dismissive way she looked at me, it made me realize I'd been dealing with a liar and a cheat all along. I started isolating myself, not just from her but from everyone. I needed space to breathe and to process everything. I also started digging into her past, trying to understand how she could be so cold, so manipulative. That's when I realized she'd always had this bitchy, controlling streak. She'd always been good at hiding it, but it was there, underneath the surface. All those little lies, her dismissiveness, her attitude, she was always the same person, just waiting for a chance to show her true colors. That woman was a master manipulator, and I was just too blind to see it until now. Despite everything, I knew one thing for sure. I didn't want to be with a woman like that anymore. I deserved better. I deserved someone who was honest, who respected me, who didn't think she could get away with betraying me during my mother's funeral. I decided I was going to focus on healing myself, on rebuilding my life. It's not easy, and I won't lie. There are nights when I still feel angry, hurt, and bitter. But I also know I'm better off without her manipulative, bitchy attitude pulling me down. Looking back, I realize that this experience has taught me a lot about trust and about how dangerous it is to ignore those little red flags. Her attitude, her lies, her manipulations, they all add up to one thing: a woman who thought she could do whatever she wanted and I was just supposed to accept it. Well, I'm done accepting. I've learned the hard way that some people are just selfish, manipulative bitches who will betray you for their own selfish needs. And honestly, I'd rather be alone than with someone like her. Now, I won't lie. There's still a part of me that feels broken. Trust is hard to rebuild after something like this. But I've also realized something important. I'm better off without her. That bitchy, manipulative attitude she wore like armor for so long, it's finally gone, and I see her for what she really was: a selfish woman who used her charm and lies to get what she wanted, no matter who she hurt. No more pretending that she's innocent or misunderstood. I see now that she was always about herself, always about making sure she got her way. Living through this has been a brutal lesson in boundaries and self-respect. I've learned that staying silent or trying to fix things with a person who is clearly manipulative only makes it worse. Cutting her out was the only way I could start to heal. I don't regret the pain because it's taught me to be more aware, more cautious. I won't let anyone manipulate me again, especially not a woman who thinks she's above everything, including betrayal during a time when I was vulnerable and grieving. Looking back, I see how her attitude, the bitchy, dismissive, lying side, was always there, just waiting for the right moment to show itself. I wish I'd seen it sooner, but I guess some lessons only come after you've been completely betrayed. The thing is, I refuse to let this define me. I'm focusing on myself now, rebuilding my confidence and healing the wounds she left. I know I'll get through this, even if it takes time. If there's one thing I want anyone reading this to take away, trust your gut. Don't ignore those little red flags, no matter how much you love someone. Because sometimes, the people closest to you can turn out to be the biggest liars and cheats, people you never expected. And when they do, you have to be strong enough to walk away, even if it's the hardest thing you've ever done. Because in the end, you deserve honesty, respect, and someone who truly cares. I learned that the hard way, and I won't forget it.